Welcome back to Toon Room. Today, we're talking about everybody's favorite ogre, Shrek, and how Shrek helped shape a generation. That's right. And don't forget, if you love cartoons, hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. Shrek was truly ahead of its time. It was a phenomenon. If you were a kid growing up in the early 2000s, there was Shrek everything. From the movies to the video games. Does anyone else remember that crazy green Shrek catch-up? Man, Shrek fever. It was truly something to witness. Quite a magical time to be a kid, no pun intended. But Shrek is much more than just an animated movie. It's been a cultural milestone that helped shape a generation in several important ways. When it was released in 2001, Shrek revolutionized the animation industry and provided a fresh take on fairy tales, humor, and storytelling that resonated deeply with the audiences. I gotta say, if you look at even just some memes today, the overall sense of humor of millennials, early 2000s kids, Shrek truly was something special. And while myself and a lot of other people didn't really like that new teaser, I figure it's about time we dive into the classic Shrek series of movies and talk about why we love them so much. So Shrek subverted fairy tale tropes. It took the notion of a classical Disney style fairy tale world and flipped it on its head with its humor and twisting the norms. Even the ending of Shrek, he kisses Fiona, and rather than turning into a handsome prince, it turns out he can be himself, and they're both ogres and they love each other. Shrek learns to love himself, accept others, and accept friends, and it's all good. I think it really started off with Donkey, someone that just really didn't care about what Shrek looked like, that he was scary. He just thought Shrek was a cool guy and he wanted to be friends with him. That really was the start. Meeting Donkey was a pivotal moment that melted Shrek's heart. And then obviously when he met Fiona, that kind of took it all the way to his happy fairy tale ending. But Shrek turned traditional fairy tales on their head. Instead of the usual princess in distress and handsome prince storyline, we got an unlikely hero in an ogre named Shrek who challenges conventional beauty standards, heroism, and romantic relationships. Although I just gotta say, in Shrek 2, when he turns human, Shrek is very handsome. All the chicks are fawning over Shrek, so I guess you could assume that as an ogre, he's very handsome and appealing to Fiona as well. Anyway, this subversion of expectations made the movie refreshing and exciting for audiences who were tired of the traditional cookie cutter fairy tales that dominated the genre previously. While Disney movies can be fun, Shrek is almost, I want to say, a parody of a Disney movie, but it pokes fun at all of those traditional fairy tale norms. The film pokes fun at the overly idealized, picture-perfect nature of fairy tales, offering instead a world where characters were flawed, imperfect, and much more relatable. For the generation that grew up with this movie, it helped redefine what it meant to be a hero, and even what a fairy tale could be. Shrek appeals to both kids and adults. One of Shrek's most revolutionary aspects was its ability to appeal to both kids and their parents. The humor in Shrek was multi-layered, much like onions, with jokes and references that children could enjoy while adults found deeper, more mature humor. Especially when Shrek, one that comes to mind, and Donkey are laughing about Farquaad's tower and that he's probably overcompensating for something. Classic joke, parents would get it, kids wouldn't really understand it, but it's all a good time. Also, another classic one when Shrek says,
Well, I have to save my ass.
and of course, he's referring to Donkey. There were a lot of pop culture references, clever wordplay, and satirical humor that flew over younger viewers' heads, but made the film just as enjoyable for parents and older audiences. I gotta say, the style of humor in Shrek is very distinct. I think it stands out from other movies in that the writers have a very specific kind of jokes they like to make, and it has a very unique feel to it. The Shrek universe has a vibe that you can feel throughout all the movies that's consistent and very different from, for example, other Disney or Pixar movies. This dual layered comedy set the stage for future animated films, where films weren't just for kids but could also have broad appeal across all ages. Shrek demonstrated that animated films could be a cultural touchstone for everyone, regardless of age. The rise of anti-heroes and subversion of norms. Shrek is Definitely not your typical Disney prince. He even makes that joke. Who are you expecting? Prince Charming? Fiona says yes, hinting at Shrek 2 and that whole debacle with that guy. But that being said, Shrek is the definition of a reluctant hero. The whole reason he goes out to save Fiona in the first place is he wants to be left alone. He wants the fairy tale creatures to get out of his swamp, give him his peace and quiet. And while embarking on that journey, he ends up obviously making a best friend with Donkey, meeting the love of his life, and he becomes a lot better off for it. Shrek gave rise to the concept of the anti-hero in mainstream animation. Shrek is grumpy, reclusive, and at first a character who doesn't want to be bothered by others, completely opposite from the idealized noble heroes typically seen in children's films. That's right, he is not a do-gooder knight in shining armor. He is just embarking on the mission for, at first, selfish reasons. And this resonated with the generation that often felt alienated or disillusioned by overly perfect role models. The film celebrated individuality and the idea that you didn't have to be perfect or fit into a mold to be valued or loved. And I do think at the heart of Shrek, especially the first movie, learning how to be loved, how to love yourself and accept love, that is the heart of Shrek. First, he learns it from Donkey, then Fiona, then his other friends, and it really is a journey of self-acceptance. That Shrek can be an ogre, he can live in a swamp and bathe in mud and eat slugs, and that's okay. He can be a nice guy too, who has a wife and friends and a happy life. He doesn't always have to be alone. That is just truly a beautiful story at the theme and heart of Shrek, wrapped up in a whole lot of great animation that I do say, considering how old the movie is, holds up pretty well to this day, alongside with some great jokes and awesome performances. I gotta give my hats off. Mike Myers is Shrek, Eddie Murphy is Donkey, Cameron Diaz is Fiona, and all of the main cast just do such a great job bringing those characters to life. And the message of Shrek was incredibly empowering to younger audiences, encouraging them to embrace their uniqueness and accept their flaws. Shrek showed that everyone, even the grumpy green ogre, could be a hero of their own story and worthy of love. Cultural references and humor. Shrek became famous for its pop culture references, making it feel contemporary and relevant in a way that other animated films didn't at the time. The film helped create a new kind of humor in animated movies, one that drew directly from the real world. The soundtrack itself became iconic, with All Star still being associated with the movie to this day. I guarantee if you hear the song All Star, the first thing that comes to mind is Shrek swinging the door open of his outhouse, hopping into the swamp. It is just so iconic, so much fun, and All Star belongs to Shrek. For a generation of kids growing up in the early 2000s, Shrek helped define the music and humor that shaped their formative years, making it a timeless cultural reference point. Memes and internet culture. Shrek holds a special place in meme culture, especially in the 2010s. It became the subject of numerous internet memes, from Shrek's expressive face to the absurdity of the film's humor. The sheer amount of content generated by fans, from Shrek remixes to viral videos, only deepened its cultural relevance. The Shrek memes is a part of a larger trend of nostalgic internet culture, where fans took ownership of the movie in creative, sometimes surreal ways. This engagement with the film through memes and fan content helped ensure Shrek's lasting presence in pop culture, especially for a generation that grew up with the internet. Themes of acceptance and love. At its core, Shrek is about self-acceptance and finding love for who you truly are. The story of Shrek's relationship with Princess Fiona is a journey of realizing that love isn't about appearances, but about being accepted for your true self. This theme resonated deeply with audiences, particularly during a time when many were still starting to question societal norms around beauty, identity, and relationships. For a generation raised on increasingly diverse and inclusive media, Shrek helped set the stage for the importance of embracing one's true identity, flaws and all. It reinforced that people should feel confident in who they are, and that authentic love doesn't come from trying to fit into a mold, but from being real. Except for Shrek 2 when he turns into a handsome prince, but that's a topic for another day. The legacy of Shrek's humor and influence on animation. The success of Shrek had a lasting impact on the animation industry. It showed that animated films didn't have to rely solely on slapstick humor or simple moral lessons. They can incorporate clever writing, pop culture commentary, and subversive, even dark humor. Many animated films following Shrek took inspiration from its edgier, more adult friendly approach. It also pushed other studios to innovate, ensuring that animated movies would evolve into something more sophisticated and complex, while still being accessible to kids. Its success proved that animation could be used to tackle more diverse themes and appeal to broader audiences. Merchandising and enduring popularity. The franchise led to sequels, merchandise, theme park attractions, even a Broadway musical. It turned Shrek from an iconic movie into a multi generational phenomenon that people continue to enjoy, even years after the original release. With Shrek 5 coming up, I just gotta say, I hope it lives up to the legacy of the original movies, but I guess time will tell in that regard. In conclusion, Shrek helped shape a generation by disrupting expectations, providing humor for all ages, and delivering an important message about identity, love, and self acceptance. Its cultural impact extends beyond just its films, affecting everything from internet culture and memes to the animation industry and beyond. It's a perfect example of how one film can leave a lasting mark on the collective consciousness of a generation. Well, that's all for today, guys. Don't forget to hit like if you love cartoons. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to tune in next time.